Hello there, Cryptowisers. It's your good friend Milton here, back with another video. No Marv today. This is a Milton special. Today, I actually have a special guest. I am interviewing Waldemar Scherer, the CEO and co-founder of Integritee Network. Now, if you've watched this channel for a while, you will know about Integritee Network because this has been a project that I have been invested in since the last bull run. This was one of the last Polkadot projects I invested in, and it has not gone well. My timing on it was not great, mostly just because they launched at the tail end of the last bull cycle, and they've really only existed through the bear. Now, this is the kind of small cap hidden gem that I am looking for this time around. I just happen to already be invested in this one. We're talking market cap of under 3.5 million. We're talking a fully diluted market cap of under 8.5 million. And I have been following this project for 2 years now, so I know that it has a quality team, that it has real tech, real utility. It's part of the Polkadot ecosystem, which didn't get to pump last time, and I expect it to this time. And if you're interested in Polkadot and the Polkadot ecosystem, make sure you check out the video that Marv and I did yesterday, Polkadot Ready to Pump, where we talk about why we think Polkadot can actually do really well this bull cycle, and we introduce a bunch of Polkadot projects that we have never talked about on the channel, a bunch of new ones. But today we go in depth on Integritee. Now, I know that long form interviews, they're not everyone's cup of tea. I get it. I did really try my best to keep to the topics that would be relevant for you retail Degen investors. I really tried to have the kind of conversation I thought you guys would want and really bring out the relevant information, not get into all that techno babble jumble that a lot of crypto projects can go into. I know a lot of the interviews with the crypto projects tend to be on the boring side. I'm doing my best to make them as not boring as possible. So I hope you find this conversation interesting. There are a lot of cool things that came up, a lot of gems here. Okay, a lot of alpha was dropped. Let me tell you that. If you're into Polkadot, there was a very interesting piece of Polkadot alpha that he dropped that I didn't know about, and I think a lot of people will be very interested in and very excited about. So I do hope that a lot of you really enjoy this conversation that I had with Waldemar of Integritee. Let me know in the comments what you think. Do you want me to do more of these? For me, as a crypto investor, these are very valuable conversations to have. I think you learn so much from the team, but I also know that I don't watch a lot of the interviews that are out there of these people because they're so damn boring. So I am trying my best to reinvent the crypto interview. So I need your help for that. Leave a comment under the video. What do you think of my conversation with Waldemar? How could I have done it better in future when I'm having these conversations with people on crypto projects? What do you want me to ask? What's the kind of information you need? Now, I did talk a lot about the tokenomics of the TEER token because for me, it's all about, should I be investing in TEER right now? And the guys who create these projects or work for the crypto projects, they don't want to talk about price, and they tell you that. I'm not going to talk about price, and that's fine. I think there's a lot of other ways to talk about tokenomics of a project that's very useful to know whether or not you should be investing or not right now than talking about the price. So I didn't touch on price, but I talked about a lot of other things that I found really great and the type of information that I would want to about the token to know whether or not it is a smart investment or not. Anyway, I got a lot out of this conversation. At the end of it, I was very excited about the future of the TEER token. I was very happy that I was already invested in it. And if you are a Degen like Marv and I, and you want 100x possible small cap hidden gems in this next bull run, make sure that you're subscribed to the channel because Marv and I are working on one of our future videos in the near future are going to be our picks, our top 100x Degen picks for the next bull run. These are going to be brand new tokens that we've never talked about. So make sure that you are subscribed to Cryptowise. And do me a favor while you're at it. Would you smash that like button, especially If you want me to do more giveaways, if you watch the last couple of videos, you know that I gave away one of these beautiful walruses to Trader G.I. Joe's for a great comment that he left on the video. I want to give away more of these We Are the Walruses. I love these NFTs. They're a great OG Solana NFT. I believe in them. I believe in the future. I think they can reach the potential that I believed in them, and I want to give them away to our audience. But to do that, we need to have more likes on our videos. We need to get out there and let people know that Cryptowise is back. We're going to be back for this whole bull run. So please do us a favor, smash that like button. And if we get enough traction, I'm going to start giving away some walrus. So if you will love OG Solana NFTs and the one especially Walrus, which I think has the greatest art in all of Solana NFTs, then help our channel out. Make sure you smash that like button. All right, guys, without further ado, here is my conversation with the CEO and co-founder of Integritee Network, the TEER token.
Hey Milton, thanks for having me. And yeah, I'm glad to be back on the channel. My name is Waldemar, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of Integritee.
Awesome. Yeah, really excited to talk to you because it's been a while. Actually, I was looking this up, and the last chat we had is over 2 years ago now, which is insane. If you haven't seen our first interview, if you're new to the channel or new to crypto, make sure you go over to our Cryptowise YouTube and check out Cryptowise chats. Waldemar was one of our first guests there just over 2 years ago. We had a long chat about the basics of Integritee. And so we're not going to talk about the kind of fundamentals or basics of the projects this time around. We're going to go deeper. So if you want to go back and watch that original interview, especially if you're new to Integritee, I certainly recommend that you do so. But today we got a lot of stuff to talk about. So it's been over 2 years, I guess, and it's been a rough 2 years for crypto. So I think my first question would be, just what the last 2 years have been like. You guys, Integritee launched, the timing of Integritee was kind of unfortunate in that you launched really at the very tail end of the last bull cycle. And so really your whole existence has been in a bear. I'd say that what has been the most challenging part of the last 2 years for you?
Yeah, I mean, you totally described it correctly, right? It was a tough time going through those 2 years in the bear market, where we launched our token on the tail, right? So it has been very challenging going through the time, definitely. I mean, we have seen a lot of things happening during that time, a lot of positive things, negative things, obviously, right? It was like a roller coaster ride, up and downs all the time, and always the hope for better market conditions soon, but yeah, we went through it, and we're happy to see now also a phase where the market is recovering, and the mood in the market is getting better.
Yeah, that is exciting. So, I mean, one of the pluses, I guess, for you guys is because you launched so late, crypto was at its, height. You were able to do your, I would imagine you were able to do your raise at a good valuation. I'm just take us behind the scenes from a crypto project like yourselves. So you do your full initial raise, and people are buying, the token, pre-launch. Do you immediately turn that into fiat so that you build a treasury, kind of give yourself a long runway to go? Or do you keep some of that in crypto? Like how does that work?
Yeah, so we have performed our raise basically only in stable coins, right? So we have kept those stable coins for a long time to really ensure a long runway, because we, of course, nobody was expecting such a long bear market, but we went through it. And I think one of the reasons was that we haven't been gambling with the money, right? We were always trying to stay conservative with managing the money. And I guess that was one of the reasons we have survived so far. Yeah, but I mean, we converted then basically our stable coins into fiat as we needed it,
Okay.
right, steadily. And yeah, I mean, we're not asset managers and we're not
Right.
gamblers, right? So we didn't even try to make some profits from gambling with the crypto up and downs.
And so, what did you have to make any major pivots because of the conditions in the crypto market? Was there like one? Just give me maybe like the biggest kind of thing that affected for you.
I mean, looking back at our roadmaps from 2022 and 2023, right? I think we have steadily delivered what we have promised, and we have, I think, also met most of the goals we have set for the years. Releasing our main products like our L2 sidechains, like our Oracle framework and the Ethos tier together with the infrastructure offering, right? So we almost stick to our plans all the time, focusing on B2B products. We have built them, we have launched them, but we have also seen that, well, with the current condition of traditional markets, it was pretty difficult to acquire and bring traditional companies into Web3 and crypto, right? So we have been also thinking about what could we do to change that situation, not only focusing on B2B, and that led to the decision to pivot a bit and offering a B2C product, which is Incognity, and hopefully we will talk about that as well.
Yeah, we'll definitely get to that. That's actually an interesting. I really actually wanted to talk about this because originally one of the things that really drew me to Integrity was that B2B kind of mission, I guess, or product, like what you guys were doing. And it felt like the strategy was to sell this service to for data protection. And so in my mind as a crypto investor, I really liked that utility. And I thought, well, okay, even in a bear market, this project isn't relying on retail investors or the hype of crypto. Really, they have this tangible service that they can sell to businesses, and if they're successful at that, then that will ultimately bring value to Integrity and the tier token. So you're saying that when you went out to the market, because crypto had such a, was it just the reputation of crypto? Businesses just didn't really want to talk to you. Did you have that stigma? Was that a big challenge?
I wouldn't say so. I think the perception of us as personalities, right, in the Swiss market, in the European market, is still. I mean, we have a good reputation because of our track record, right? So I think that wasn't a big issue so far. Um, the bigger issue was not only the bear market in crypto, but basically the economical situation in general, right? So
Right,
markets are shit. It doesn't matter whether you are in crypto or in the traditional world, right?
right.
Things went really bad. I mean, if you have watched the stock markets or followed the stock markets, then we had also crashes over there with billions that have been just destroyed, right? Even
Yeah.
bigger names like Zoom or other tech companies lost values of around 80%, right? So I think the whole economical situation was pretty bad. It doesn't matter whether you are in the traditional market selling to other businesses or in crypto. That was one of the major issues, I think.
Yeah, that's fair. That's very fair. So I actually want to go through these more specifically, all these products that you guys offer, and maybe talk specifically about which ones you've been able to gain traction with, and specifically, I'm interested in that kind of B2B. If you are working with any businesses right now that are using the service, so would you say that B2B service, that original kind of mission or vision was the security product?
Not only, to be honest. So security was just a complementary product that we have launched because we have seen that dealing with Intel SGX machines, a specific server type that we're requiring for our technology, right? It is not that easy to manage and operate those servers still, right? So because it's also quite new technology. And it was a complementary offering, or is still a complementary offering to our SDK and our decentralized network, right? So in the future, if clients will run and operate applications on our network, they would require infrastructure, and we will be still there to help them get up to speed and provide them with the hardware in an easy to use setup. I
Right.
think.
That's kind of an unusual aspect of your crypto project. I guess most crypto projects out there are more like the actual offering is completely digital, but there is this hardware component to how yours works. So you do offer that as a service. Is anyone using that service right now?
Not at the moment, but I mean, we will be selling that service basically to the projects that are going to launch on our network in the future, right? So
Okay.
we are of course using it internally as well. So this is set up and it works. It is proven, right? So I don't see any reason why it shouldn't be able to be sold.
But okay, so other than the other crypto projects, I'm just curious. So out of any of these products that you offer, are you out there selling to just businesses outside of crypto? And if so, which products which ones are focused for outside of crypto companies? And or have any companies started using your products yet? And if so, which ones?
Yeah. So I mean, we have collaborated in the past with multiple projects, mainly from the crypto space, because it's just easier to talk to them, to test things out without going to large compliance departments and whatever, you know. Um, we have collaborated with a couple of them. They have been developing based on our SDK some prototypes, right? And some of the solutions are going to go live hopefully in this quarter. So you will see a couple of solutions running on our network. Some of them are crypto native. One project particularly is coming from Oli system. We have announced that already, right? They are building the solution and hopefully they will deploy it soon. So, and that is one of the more traditional companies.
Right. Okay, great. So let's take that as an example. So now that so I just want to get a sense of now that the service is going to be used from this company, how just walk me through kind of how that ends up bringing value to the tier token.
Yeah. So if you look at our token economics, right, they haven't really changed since we released our white paper in 2021. So basically, it is still a token utility mechanism that we haven't touched. It is purely based on transaction fees, and I think it will remain like that unless we see any other genius idea adding benefits to our token economics. So whenever there is a company or a project developing an application based on our software development kit and operating that solution on our network, right? They will have to pay fees in our native token tier. The more projects we can attract to be running on our network, the more fees will be paid, right? And that will basically drive the whole demand for the tier token. Um,
And
what we
so
have
just to
recognized,
clarify, up until this point, that hasn't happened yet.
not on the mainnet, no, they are all in development stage basically, right? And the first projects will go live now in Q1, hopefully. So
can other chains utilize your services without having to build on Integrity? Can you just can they just use the aspects of your services that they want, or does it have to be actually developers launching dApps right onto Integrity?
yeah, it's not necessary to build a complete application on top of our network. So other you mentioned it, right? So other Parachain teams, for example, could leverage certain aspects of our technology and communicate with our L1 parachain and use some aspects of the technology without building completely on top of us, right?
Right. Yeah, I
So
guess that was the clarity that I was looking
yeah,
for. And in that case, you can that's still they would still have to pay fees for whatever service, whatever aspect they want to use, and that would accrue value to the tier token.
exactly.
So yeah, let's talk more about some of the upcoming projects. What are the major, and you spoke about it. I believe it's the privacy aspect that you guys are building. You guys are building a privacy sidechain, I believe. But do you want, and this is a major thing that's coming out soon. Do you want to tell our audience about that and explain that?
Yeah, definitely. So our plans with that privacy sidechain, we call it Incognity, that will be our product, right? Is that we are basically leveraging our technology that we have built so far to provide a privacy sidechain on top of Polkadot and Kusama, right? So that would basically enable the retail customers, so the whole crypto community, to use that sidechain to transact privately, and that would also be enable basically private voting, right? Because voting is still, let's say, uh, in an early phase, right? Although I think Polkadot has one of the most advanced governance systems and a very engaged community, right? But the thing is that whenever you vote, for example, you're basically exposing yourself, right? To a certain degree because everything is public. And there is always a trace back to another wallet that you own, even if you try to send your tokens to other wallets. And what we want to do with Incognity is basically keep sensitive transactions private, right? And also allow not completely private voting, but at least you can basically obfuscate your traces back. So you can start with a fresh wallet and vote on things without doxing yourself, right? Because I think that's one of the aspects in decentralized voting that are still, let's say, hampering with a normal voting behavior, right? Because I mean, if you're going voting, then maybe you don't want others to know how you're voting, right? So,
Right. Yeah.
and this
No,
is
that
not
makes a lot of
solved
sense.
yet.
So, are you with that? Does that work in the same way that if people want to utilize this product or service, that then they would have to pay in some sort of form of tier, and that would be another utility for the tier token?
So that particular product would be running on top of Polkadot and Kusama and not directly on our L1 Integrity Parachain, right? But it would work like that, basically. We will have a couple of validators. The set will be limited, right? And the validators are basically um, incentivized to lock tier tokens to be able to get some revenue shares from the whole operation of that sidechain, right? So whenever someone wants to privately transact dots or KSM on Polkadot or Kusama, then they have to pay fear in the native token. If it's on Polkadot, then it's dot. If it's on Kusama, then it's KSM, and validators are getting a share of that transaction fee, basically, right? But the thing is, validators will have to lock a certain degree of tier, first of all. So, and the number of tier will also determine basically the amount that will be shared. So if you have locked more tier, then you will get a bigger share, obviously, which will be beneficial for the tier velocity, right? Basically, it will slow down the velocity. It will motivate people to buy tier and lock it. And we will also introduce a functionality that is called delegating for the crypto community. So every tier holder could basically delegate their tier to an existing validator to set up a known validator technically. So they can now also participate in the whole scheme, right? And the, the nice thing is that all those validators who are operating incognity will have to pay their fees in tier basically. So it's up to the validators to pay the fees in tier and not to the retail crypto user.
Right. Oh, okay. That's great. Yeah, that's great. And what do you have a timeline on when this is going to be launched?
So at the moment, we hope we can launch the main product by end of quarter two. So we have just recently, right before the new year, we have launched our testnet, and now we will start really battle testing the whole solution. We will start some user testing campaigns, a bug bounty campaign to really make sure that the whole setup is really secure, right, and can hold up large transaction volumes. And yeah, I think end of quarter two could be reasonable.
One of the things on this timeline that or roadmap that I want to touch on is this bridging tier from Kusama Parachain to the Polkadot Parachain.
Mhm.
So, and correct me if I get any of this wrong. So far, Integrity has been on Kusama through a Kusama Parachain. Are
Correct.
the plans to move over to Dot? What's the timeline on that? And then does that mean that the Kusama Parachain goes away and that everything moves to Dot?
So our initial idea was really bridging both of those parachains on Kusama and Polkadot, right, to create one big ecosystem for tier. So we didn't follow the two token, two chains approach as many other projects in the ecosystem. And I
Which I
think that
really
was,
appreciated, by the way. I think it was a much better
yeah,
way to go.
yes, I think looking back, it was a good decision to do so. And well, the reason why we haven't done that yet is because there is no bridge yet that can be used to do so. We are still waiting for a bridge that should go live soon. That is built by, I think it's called Snowbridge, and we will basically use that technology then to bridge our both parachains. So
So
that's
at
actually
the
the
moment, I
reason
guess
why
it's
we have
been
delayed.
sorry. Yeah. So at the moment, is that why it's been harder for you to be part of the Dot ecosystem? Like being on Kusama, I guess you can't tier can only exist either on the Integrity network or other Kusama networks. So without this bridge, is that why we don't see the tier token yet on any of the Dot networks?
Yeah, I mean that's one of the issues, right? But to be honest, we haven't seen any bigger reason to move from Kusama to Polkadot and discard Kusama for now, because we have connections to the exchanges as well, and we would have to change that. But I think with the upcoming structures and things that Polkadot or Parity build, right? We will see it much a much easier integration of tier into the ecosystem. Yeah.
And while we're on the topic of Polkadot, I did want to ask you a couple of questions just in general about
Mhm.
Polkadot because it's been a couple of years now. We're invested in a lot of different Polkadot projects. We really have loved Polkadot from the beginning, but it has it hasn't come without challenges, that's for sure. What now in retrospect, do you still believe in Polkadot? Are you still happy with your decision to build on Polkadot, or if you could do it all over again, would you choose a different ecosystem?
Um, well, I mean, looking at Polkadot from a technological perspective, I still think it's the most advanced one and a future-proof one, right? Looking at aspects like forkless upgrades and stuff like that, it's really a major advantage. And I think also that the overall developer activity on Polkadot throughout those 2 years was still one of the highest. I think always ranking around second, third rank, something like that. So there was a lot interest from the developer community in Polkadot, but well, the thing is, what we have seen in the past 2 years is that Polkadot is also, or as an ecosystem, was struggling a lot, right? It didn't really get the broader attention from people, and well, the recent restructuring of the organization and cutting of BD and marketing team was also a big challenge for the whole ecosystem, right? And we have to now find new ways and setups to compensate this. But I'm pretty, let's say, I have a good feeling for the potential of the ecosystem for the next 2 years. Looking at the adoption from serious and large enterprises like Deloitte, Vodafone, and others, right? And I would say it's still a good decision. It was tough. It would be much easier to be in the Ethereum ecosystem for sure, because you have the whole market, you have the liquidity there, you have a lot of tools there, right? That we don't have. But I think it will pay out in the future.
And with the change from the Parachain model to, sorry, to
No
the,
worry.
and with the change from the Parachain model to the Coretime kind of model, well, how will that affect integrity? How are you thinking about that? Does that change your plans if once they move over to that? Does that change anything that you are doing?
Not really. It doesn't impact us at all, to be honest. But I think it will be beneficial for the whole ecosystem and will make it easier for projects to enter the ecosystem, as parachains have been quite high barrier financially and also technically for projects to enter the ecosystem in the past. So I really like the idea of getting rid of that concept that hasn't really played out.
Marvin and I were talking about this yesterday because we did a video on Dot yesterday. But moving forward, I just want to get clarity on this. If you want to do a parachain, you'll still be able to do that. Like that's going to continue, and then other people can just do the core time model, or are the parachains going to be phased out?
As I understood, the parachain model will be phased out and it will be switched completely to core time and basically pay as you go, right?
Right. Okay. So how does that affect you? Because before you could just kind of lock the dot up and you still got that back. So it was, it wasn't really in a cost to you. It was just locking up capital. Whereas I guess now you'll have to pay for it. Does that, from a financial standpoint, does that make things a lot more difficult, or no?
Um, I think it depends on the costs, right? I'm not sure if anyone already talked about what core time will cost, and if there is any idea about it. I haven't heard about it so far, but I think it will be cheap enough to, or for projects to be able to pay that, right? Because especially at the beginning, as a project, you don't need a lot of resources, right? And once you're growing, you could just scale together with your growth, right? As you would do
Right.
in the cloud, basically. So I think that's a more, let's say, a more beneficial economical structure than those parachains, where you have to lock up millions and millions of dollars, like in the first auctions, I remember, right? And
Right.
then there's not enough demand for the product, and parachains are just idling around, right? So.
So for you, because I know that now that you want to launch on Dot when the bridge happens, I guess so. Are you going to just do the core time model then? Are you going to wait for that, or if that's not launched yet, are you going to do a parachain?
Mm, so as I am informed, they want to get rid of the Parachain model. I think in Q2, end of Q2, something like that, right? And it depends on when we are going to renew our Parachain lease. So might be even before, so that we can do a crowd loan again, maybe for obtaining a Parachain slot until that model is still there. But I mean, we have to crunch the numbers and think about it. So we haven't
Right.
decided that yet. Depends on
Um,
the prices of the Parachain auctions as well. So because they
right.
were dropping a lot in the last 2 years.
And in terms of just the overall dot ecosystem, I'm just curious from someone who's on the inside, like what are the do you have what are your relationships like with the other projects in Polkadot? Is there a lot of communication between the dot projects? Do you feel like you're kind of your own thing? If you do have tight relationships with other projects, I'm just curious which ones those might be and how those developed.
Oh yeah, I mean definitely. I think it's a very active community, right? And I mean we're talking to a lot of teams constantly because of various things. Might be partnership, it might be just supporting each other technically or in business development, whatever, you know. And I mean with all the events that are organized by the broader Polkadot community every year, you can touch base with people constantly, right? Whether it's the technical ones like the Sub-Zero or the more business-oriented events like Decoded, Polkadot Decoded, right? There is always constant exchange with at least the older teams in the ecosystem. Yeah.
Right. That's great. So I want to talk about the tokenomics more specifically here of tier. And
Mhm.
I know people, like yourselves, CEO, co-founders, or team members, you don't want to talk about price. Price goes up, it goes down, and that's fluctuates, and that's fine. I don't want to focus on the price so much, although I pray every night that it goes up. But I want to talk more about just the tokenomic model that you put in and just make sure. So you said that nothing has really changed just because it's been a couple of years. I just want to make sure. So I remember when I talked to you guys originally, it was pre-launch, and you went with a max supply of only 10 million tier tokens, which is very, very low for a crypto project. And that's total max supply. So that hasn't changed yet. It's still the tier max supply is 10 million.
Exactly, and it will remain. So there are no plans to change that.
And on CoinGecko or Coin Market Cap, it has your circulating supply at just under 4 million, which is about
Mhm.
40% of the token. Now, I was curious about that. Like, does that seem correct to you? One of the reasons I ask is just because it's been a couple of years. I imagine that if I go to your original kind of white paper in terms of token distribution, you had early adopters, 35%. Rewards for supporters of the Parachain slot was at 30%. Ecosystem development, employee compensation, 25%. The founders, 5%. And then the treasury, 5%. Now, the longest vesting in this was the founders. That was vested over
Mhm.
24 months. Now, it feels like all the vesting for any of these is up by now, which in my mind feels like the majority of the tier tokens should be out in the circulating supply.
Um, yeah, so what I mean, not 100% correct. So our founders token are actually vested over 4 years,
Okay.
not only 2 years. So they are still vested, right? Which is also quite long because we basically planned for the long run and not just doing pump and dump with that project, right? And for the rest, we actually haven't defined vesting schedules for the bigger tranches, like the crowd loan pot, like the ecosystem development pot, right? So you're right. The circulating supply on CoinGecko and CoinMarketCap are almost correct, right?
Okay.
We're updating that frequently, and yeah, we don't have any particular plan to issue the rest of the tokens soon. So we are free to decide what to do with them, I guess, in the future, right?
So
And
there aren't
we try
any
to.
big upcoming unlocks, token unlocks that people should be aware of.
Nope. So most of the initial investors are already unlocked, right? We as a founders are still locked, and well, everything else will be decided by I think progress market and yeah.
And we
those
talked
factors.
a little bit about this, but I wasn't able to get, I didn't actually ask a question about it, but I want to now, is just the availability of TEER. Is that a priority for you right now? It's available on Kraken, which is great because that, that's a big exchange. It's available on Gate.io. According to CoinGecko, those are the only two places to get it. Is that still true? And if so, do you have plans in the near future to be able for people to be able to get the TEER token elsewhere?
Yeah, I mean the info is still correct. We are available on Kraken and Gate, but that's actually one of the most discussed topics within our community at the moment because most of the people are basically not able to obtain tier at the moment because even I mean we are listed on Kraken, but still Kraken doesn't allow people in Northern America to buy tier token, right? So they are excluded from that list. And well, that will be also one of the topics that we will focus on now in the next 3 months to really get listed on a DEX. So the teams in the Polkadot ecosystem are working on a native DEX at the moment, which should launch soon. It is already available in the testnet, right? And that should make tier available to a broader mass, which are currently excluded by centralized exchanges. That's definitely one of the priorities for us as well. Good that you're mentioning that.
So I just want to kind of get more information and just make sure I'm clear about this. Who is launching this native DEX soon?
So Parity, right?
Okay.
Parity and Web3, they're working on a native DEX that should be launched on Polkadot soon.
Okay. Wow. I
And
didn't know that.
yeah, and that will basically allow projects to provide their tokens on that native DEX.
Are there any, so there's the native Polkadot DEX coming out. Any other DEXs that are being built in Polkadot that you would be really excited to be on once you are on Dot?
Yeah, I mean, Hydra DX is definitely one of the top ones we were looking for, right? So
That
Hydra
would
DX
be
is a good avenue.
great. Good to know. Good to know. You're a very small project still, If I go
Mhm.
back to just the market share that you have right now, it's tiny in terms of crypto. It's still, a market cap of just under 3.5 million. So like from retail investors perspective like us, we call you a small cap hidden gem, you're one of those kind of tiny projects that have the potential to be much bigger. Um, are there projects, do you have a simple kind of elevator pitch for maybe other crypto projects, maybe in other ecosystems that you are that are comparable to what you're doing? Like who would you compare Integritee to out there in the crypto ecosystem? Anyone?
I think one of the projects that is coming close to what we are doing is Secret Network in the Cosmos ecosystem, right? And
Okay.
they are already much bigger than we are. So they are also utilizing trusted execution environments as a technology, but leveraging the Cosmos SDK instead of Polkadot, right? But what they don't do and can't do is the layer two sidechains that we're offering, right? So they do basically smart contract execution within trusted execution environments, which is, well, it provides privacy, but it's not scalable, right? And what we provide with our sidechain technology is really scalable, all right? Scalable stuff that can be deployed there, and it can scale to up to 1 million transactions per second, which can basically facilitate use cases for yeah the future demand of blockchain. At the moment, I guess one of the reasons why it's not really used too much because there is no big demand yet to fulfill, right?
Yeah, I mean that's a major problem with Dot right now is that everyone says how fast it is and how scalable it is, but we don't have the people here yet to prove that to
Yeah.
people. But hopefully this is the year because 2024, hopefully, fingers crossed, it's going to be really exciting for all of us who watch and invest in crypto, but more specifically for you, someone who spent so much time building and, put so much time and effort into building integrity. I really hope that this is the year that we kind of see your vision come into fruition with people actually getting to use the product. Is there a timeline for you? I know that you say that there are people developing that are going to launch on integrity and use some of the products. Is there a timeline for when that day will come where the project launches and it's an integrity project?
Well, first quarter for sure.
Oh, okay. So the quarter we're in right now. So that gives you
Yes.
2.5 months. All right, that's awesome. Well, I also want to just say, quickly, people should visit the Integrity website, integrity.network. You guys did a whole new redesign, which I think looks great. It does
Thanks.
it has all the information really outlined in a very clear way. I think it's really well done, and I like the new logo and look too. So congrats on that. Is there anything else that you want our audience to know before we wrap up?
No, I think that was a good conversation. We have covered most of the topics that are really relevant to know, right? And hope you stay tuned about our future developments.
Yeah, well, we definitely will. I definitely will. My audience knows I'm heavily invested in TEER, so I'm rooting for you, and I'm watching, and yeah, I think this could be a really, really big year for integrity and TEER tokens. So fingers crossed. Anyway, thank you so much for your time, Waldemar. I know that we took more time than anticipated, but I really appreciate it, and I'm sure our audience does as well. So thanks so much.
It was really a pleasure, Milton. Thanks.